All right, we got another one here for you. We just finished up this Barletta pontoon boat. I believe this is like a 26 foot. This one came to us. It had the factory system in it. It had 4 Hertz speakers and then a Hertz head unit in it. So we added quite a bit compared to what it came with stock because that was a pretty basic system. So I'll just kind of start and go through everything we've done. We'll start with the head unit here. Had a Hertz head unit right here when it came in. We had to cut out a little bit bigger hole, and we were able to put this JL Audio Media Master 105 in here. So this controls the system. This has 4 zones. How we set it up: we set it up with a front zone, a mid zone, a rear zone, and then subwoofers. So you can adjust all those independently if you want, or all as one. This has obviously AM, FM, Bluetooth. It's also got a USB port here and an auxiliary input if you wanted to use that. The boat came with a factory charge station right here, wireless charger. So that's pretty cool. You can just set your phone right here, charges your phone. We did 2 amps in here. We did the JL Audio Marine amps. 1 amp is a 600/6i, the MVI amp, and then the other amp is a 1000/5 amp I JL Audio. So a 6-channel and a 5-channel. The way we set it up is the 6-channel runs, there's 4 speakers in the front of the boat and then 2 speakers here in the mid that I'll show you later. The 6-channel runs all those, and then the 5-channel runs the rear 4 speakers and then the 2 subwoofers, and there's 1 subwoofer in the back and 1 subwoofer in the front. Amplifiers we mounted, this is kind of dead space behind the helm right here, so we were able to take this panel off, and then under here, back in here, you can see there's the 2 amplifiers. Made a rack there, or a mounting board that's made out of 3/4 inch expanded PVC, and then the amps are mounted to that, and then the fuse panel down below it. The fuse box there has 2 fuses that go to the amplifiers, and then 1 smaller fuse that comes up and controls the head unit. So everything's all on the same fuse panel there. We ran 0 gauge power and ground from that rack back under the boat to the batteries back there. If you've never done one of these pontoon before, to run wires in these, there's some aluminum panels that go down the sides that are riveted on, so you have to drill those out and then pop those panels off, and then you can get to all the wiring down under there. We did run all new speaker wires to all the extra speakers that we put into the boats. The 4 factory speakers, we did use the existing speaker wire for that because it was a nice gauge, like 14 gauge or so, 16, 14 gauge, big enough for the power we're putting through it. So we used those 4 speaker wires, and then all the other ones we ran 14 gauge Stinger wire to. So I'll show you up front here what we did for speakers. So the speaker placement in these boats isn't optimal. In this year, there's not really any spots up high to mount them. All this is really, cushiony, so you can't really mount anything to it without taking that whole panel out and rebuilding everything. And that just wasn't in the budget for this build. So the factory speakers are down under here. So these were 6-inch Hertz to begin with. So we added the JL Audio M6 6.5s in their factory location on both sides. And then back here, where these speakers are kind of firing towards us now, those are 7.7-inch speakers, and there used to be, these power ports used to be like right here, so we moved those, and then we're able to cut that out to put the 7.7-inch speaker. We're also able to put the 10-inch woofer, infinite baffle woofer, the M6 JL Audio. Up here we did 1 in the front and 1 in the back to get some bass in the front and the rear of the boat. One thing we did modify is this little door stopper right here. There used to be a little rubber one there, and then you'd get it past that stopper and it kind of wiggle and hit the thing here, hit the seat. So we made him a new one of those, just for 1, to make it a little bit better stopper, and then for 2, to make this door from hitting that grill if he was to open it. So when you kind of pull this door up, and it slides, and then it locks in. You can see it's nice and tight now. It stays away from that woofer. Behind these speakers, this aluminum piece was here to protect from where the chargers, these chargers that we moved, used to be. So we modified these a little bit because the speaker was a little bit too deep, so we had to rebend some things, but that kind of protects the speaker there. All right, the middle of the boat here, it's kind of hard to find a good spot to put speakers because all there really is this bump out. This thing opens for storage and a trash bin and stuff like that. There's no real great spots up on the sides or anything on both sides to mount a speaker, so the best solution we came up with is over on the sides of each seat here. We put an 8.8 inch JL Audio M6 speaker, so that gets a little bit of sound to the driver and the passenger and the captain's chairs here. You can see here where the speaker comes through that panel. We use threaded machine screws with a stainless washer, a lock nut, and then a nut on the backside. And then all the wires are all nice and tidy and split loom. Go up, stainless screws, tucked all out of the way. All right, going to the rear of the boat. Same thing. We had some 6-inch speakers, kind of right here. Those are factory. These are 7.7-inch speakers. Did that on both sides. Moved the charge ports over here to the side. You can see the charge port still has room here, doesn't hit the door. Made that new mount down there for this door also. And then put another subwoofer back here. We also upgraded the battery and charging system in this. Just had a single battery when it came into us and no shore power charger. So we were able to, this is where the factory battery was. So we were able to fit 2 of the Stinger batteries in here. This bigger one here is kind of the main house battery, and then this is a start battery. You can combine them both if you want to use them both to last a little bit longer, but normal use when you just turn it to on. I'll show you the battery switch here. So say you're going down you're sitting on the beach or something. If you just switch this to on, we're only using one of the batteries, and that's the bigger battery back here. And then if you go to combine, that'll combine them so you're using both the batteries. So whenever you're going down the river or lake or whatever and the boat's running, you want it on combined so that it charges both batteries. And then when you're parked and just hanging out listening to music, you're going to want to click that back to on so it's only working off of one battery. So this was a factory panel that was here for the battery switch. We just changed out the switch. They just had an on-off battery. They didn't have a combined one for 2 batteries, so we added that switch there in the factory spot. And then underneath we've got a circuit breaker for the whole stereo. That's the 0 gauge wire that goes up to the batteries. And then back over here we're able to put a 30 amp shore power charger that will charge both batteries even if the battery switch is off if you're plugged into shore power. And then on the back of the boat we put this charge port so you can plug in your AC without having to take the cover off your boat. So if you keep your cover on when you're at the dock, if you have power at the dock, it's easy to plug in, or if you pull it in your garage for the winter, you can just plug it in without pulling off the cover to get inside. The shore charger also has an app and Bluetooth, so you can link up to it and you can see what it's doing for charging, see the history of it, see how much power it's putting out. So you can see here on the deck, when you go to turn this up, you got subwoofer, rear, middle, front. So if you just turn the dial, it's going to turn everything up however you have it set. So let's say you want one zone a little bit louder than the other. So say you want the fronts a little bit louder. You can push this button in and then turn the fronts up so they're a little louder. And then when you go back to the part where it does them all, it stays a little bit louder than the rest of it. So a lot of times people will use that for the subwoofer. As you can see, I had it set up so the sub was a little bit louder than the rest. So at lower volume, you got a little bit more bass. Or if you want to take the subwoofer down, same thing, go down to it, scroll this down, and now it's a little bit less subwoofer. Anyway, it gives you quite a bit of selectability. We also go in and you can rename what the deck is called. So we rename it Barletta. So it's easy if somebody comes out and wants to hook up to the Bluetooth, they know, hey, I'm hooking up to the boat. It's not some weird name. Anyway, that does it for this one. This one was a pretty somewhat simple system. It's a super solid system, but you know, a lot of great gear, good amps, good speakers, good subs, good head unit, batteries, charging. You know, we try not to skimp on anything. We're not going to put a bunch of amps in and not add the right amount of battery power to run things. So just wanted to go through that. Shore charger, that's always a great idea if you have power at the boat. Even when if you store your boat for maybe you don't have power at the lake, which that's always ideal. So you can charge it every night when you're done. But even if you don't, but you store your boat at your house in the winter time, it's always a good idea and money well spent to add that shore power charger so that you can plug it in and keep those batteries nice and topped off. It'll make them last longer, and that charger will pay for itself in the long run. I guess that's about all we got. So thanks for watching. Next one that we're going to be finishing up is this one right behind me, which is a chaparral, which is a huge build that we've been doing all winter. So that one's going to be pretty awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I guess we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.